The last of the major pro leagues is off and rolling, and college basketball is ready to go as well. BetOnline remains your top spot for all your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, and NHL are in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for your wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. All the hoops betting action, along with every sport available at your fingertips with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and remember to use our promo code Bleav for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Again, that's promo code BLEAV for 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. It is the Arizona Cardinals centric specific show where, of course, we talk and wax poetic about the Arizona Cardinals here in the Phoenix metropolitan area. I am one of your co-hosts. I am Javon J. Love Adams. And with me is a man who not only played professional baseball, he also played in the National Football League for that first Super Bowl-bound team for the Atlanta Falcons. He's a motivational speaker. He is also an author. I'm talking about none other than Ed Easy Smith. What is good, my brother?
Cardinals moved to 2-8, exactly what we wanted, right?
Yeah, we're going to get into that. So we do this thing twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. Mondays, we look back on the game that was, and then Thursday, we look ahead to the game that will take place and kind of discuss any topics that have come up along the week. But so, as Ed alluded to, the Arizona Cardinals, they welcome the Atlanta Falcons to State Farm Stadium for a week 10 matchup. And the Arizona Cardinals welcome back their franchise quarterback, at least for now anyway. Kyler Murray, it was his first game after that knee injury, about 11 months ago. And so it was kind of, there's a lot of uncertainty that went into it. And so the Atlanta Falcons coming in with their own issues at quarterback. They were starting with Heineke, and then Ritter came in for a little bit for something. But anyway, so they came in at 4-5, and the Cardinals were 1-8. Cardinals are now 2-8, and the Falcons are now 4-6. So we'll get into the minutia of the game a little bit, but as somebody who suffered a knee injury, not to that extent, but you got a knee injury is a knee injury. I don't care what nobody says. You still got to come back from it and rehab from it. And so there has to be the mental aspect of it. Did that make you harken back a little bit when you started to watch this game? Like, man, I remember when I was coming back, and the nerves and the adrenaline and all those things.
Absolutely. I mean, totally ruptured my MCL. Was back on the field basically 2 months later. Not an ACL, but MCL, and I wasn't ready to be back on the field when it happened, but I rushed back, and I remember that first play like it was yesterday, bro. And it was 30 years ago, however long ago it was. And it is scary. It's it's your heart is pounding. You're not sure of the actual ligament. Is it going to hold? Is it going to pop again? And I'm not Kyler Murray. I'm not out there a quarterback in the NFL running for his life, or having to drop back with dudes hunting him. I was out there blocking. So watching Murray, I was in awe of, one, it didn't look like he missed a beat in terms of physically. He looked like he was, he was scrambling out there. There were a few times where he was running, and I was even bracing. I was just like, you just don't know. But I'm sure in his mind, he was, he'll tell you that no, it was just another game, maybe. But nah, man, what he did and how he looked, very impressed. And I can only imagine what was going through his head. I was scared for him. So for him to do what he did, kudos, bro.
He did a little bit. He did some scrambling, and again, we're getting to the game. But this is the headline. You don't bury the lead, as they say. Oh my goodness, we not only do what we do here with Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals, but sometimes when these things come across my phone, headlines, when we do Easy Sports podcast later on this morning, we got some other stuff to talk about as well. There's stuff going on around this world, so that's how we do it. We love it like that. But so Kyler Murray, his line was 19 for 32, 249 yards, no touchdowns, but an interception. With an interception, 2 sacks for 19, that total loss of 19 yards. But he did scramble but he got six rushing yards for 36 rushing attempts for 33 yards. One was in one touchdown based off of that, and that rushing touchdown, that rush ended up being quite the necessary for the Cardinals to kind of pull this out. He got with that sack for both of those sacks. You're thinking, man, don't pull the knee, don't do that, and you just wonder. But you're concerned in that way because you never want to see somebody get injured, and even the worst enemy. Well, I guess it depends on how bad of an enemy it is, but you guess you have to get that out of the way so that way you can say, "Oh, I'm okay. I can run and I can get tackled. I don't want to get sacked, but I did get sacked and I'm okay, or I can run and I can cut." And that gives you more confidence in that knee, right?
Yeah, no, you're waiting for that first instance. There's no way he's going to go untouched in a football game, but the sooner you can get it out of the way, I know he probably felt a little more at ease. And the other thing, it's like you're accomplishing different things. The first time he had to scramble, the first time he got touched, the first time people were around his feet, the first time he got sacked, the first time he had to slide, because all these things are, putting pressure on that leg. And every time you clip one of them off, it's like, whew, okay, that felt okay. I'll move on to the next,
Right,
and then it happens again. And before you know it, you're not even hopefully thinking about it. And I would say by the end of that game, the leg wasn't on his mind, I don't think. I mean, it's always there somewhere, but it was far to the regression of his mind. It wasn't to the forefront, because he looked good. He scrambled a couple times. He did the slide a couple times. He ran out of bounds a couple times. He got, sacked or tackled. So he was, like I said, he looked like he didn't miss too many beats. Had to take a little rust off, and obviously it wasn't vintage Kyler Murray, but I'll tell you what, a whole lot of teams would like to have that version right there compared to what they currently have. So that was a good audition.
Yeah, man. We go, because speculation or our version of speculation will come definitely in just a few moments. But somebody who was happy to see him was Trey McBride.
Yes,
Trey
sir.
McBride. He 8 receptions, 131 yards, was targeted 9 times. I mean, and then it wasn't only him, but I want to say there were just the tight end position as well. Just what they utilizing that the two tight ends within the offensive scheme, that seemed to benefit Kyler as well. But it's also being able to step up when you're Trey McBride to make yourself available for your quarterback.
Yeah, and the tight end is considered in a lot of offenses is considered the outlet, because obviously your wide receivers are stretching the perimeter, or more apt to get over the top of a defense. That tight end is very cozy in the middle of the passing grid, if you per se, and off to the sides a lot of times. And you don't need those deep drops a lot of times to hit your tight end. Whereas if you're going to hit a Marquise Brown deep, you might have that 7-step or whatever it is. But he looked, McBride was right on point for Kyler in the offense yesterday. And that's something we've always liked to see. And I would say, Jay, I saw him under center a few more times. Not a whole bunch, but at least a few more times. We're talking under Kingsbury. There were times when, if there were 55, 60 snaps, we're talking once or twice. I saw at least a handful of times when he was under center. And I think, that's the type of offense that Petzing likes to run, is a quarterback under center. And that was a start, and maybe here's the thing, to start him in his first game, we didn't want to make him too uncomfortable. So maybe we didn't do as much as we would like to see, but we saw it at least a little bit.
That's what I was thinking as well. I was thinking about that as well. So this is the all right. We're gonna tell you. I'm gonna show you a little bit of this menu before I hit you with all you got to do, chef. So now when you come in next week, this menu is opened up, or the options have opened up a lot more, because now your feet are wet and you shouldn't be thinking about it as much.
Yeah, the percentage of times underneath center was decent for me, considering, like I said, most quarterbacks will tell you they'd rather be in shotgun because you're already elevated from the line of scrimmage. It takes less to, process, because you're not turning your, we talk about it all the time. When you're under center and you're doing play action, you're turning your back to the defense. When you're doing play action, this when shotgun or read option, you can keep that head up and look and see what's still in front of you. So it's a little more comfortable for a quarterback. Whether we need it more in an offense, I would say yes. Do we need it more than we used it yesterday? I'd say yes, but it was a good start. I mean, 90+% of his snaps weren't under center, or weren't in shotgun. I thought it was nice, of a nice, decent mix. And I guess next time we'll keep a track of it. But this next game will definitely be something I think they'll incorporate even more. But it was nice to see.
Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. He's Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams. Now, it doesn't hurt to have James Conner come back and be able to have him in the backfield as well. How did you think about James Conner as he returned? 73 yards is what he amassed. But I think just the presence of a James Conner, because the previous week, what was it? A total of 8 yards rushing in terms, 58 total yards, 8 yards rushing. If I'm not mistaken, I can look back at the box score. Either way, it was atrocious. But what did you think about James Conner and him coming back?
I thought it was perfect timing to have Conner come back, to give him that, basically security blanket, another version of a security blanket, the run game, to aid and assist Kyler in, not having everything on his shoulders. And, we ran the ball a total of 26 times, 122 yards. That's not shabby. The fact we only had 32 pass plays makes it a balanced offense. You think about it. So, I mean, I would like the total number of plays run to be higher, but I mean, it's not like they scorched it as well. They only had 62, 41 runs and 21 passes. So, neither team overly possessed the ball when we did have it, though. Nice little mix. And it was definitely good to see Kyler. It's good to see Conner back. And another thing that was encouraging is Kyler wasn't manning the entire run game. It's good to see James get his 16. Kyler ran it, a handful of times as well. Like I said, with the number of total plays we had, it was nice to see somewhere near balance. So that was also good.
So let me ask you this. So let's start to get into some of the minutiae of the game, and then plus to get what you alluded to about auditioning and things along those lines. Now, I was impressed with Bijan Robinson. Of course, the rookie running back that's on the Falcons. 95 yards. He finished the game with 22 carries, 95 yards. Now, you watch games more than I do in terms of, especially with your setup at your crib. Was he used more this game than he had been used in previous weeks, or what were you seeing, or was it about the same?
It was about the same. The problem with the Falcons is their quarterback play, man. They stink. I mean, between Ritter and Heineke, if that's the best you can do, especially with all those weapons around you. You've got Bijan, you've got the other let me see, what's his name? Algier, Drake London on the outside along with Kyle Pitts. And you look at, I mean, they had 12 completed passes, bruh. I mean, that's you can't do that. That's bad. And so with Bijan, I mean, he's great talent, but if you're getting that little out of your quarterback play, and this is a game that I told you when we had our show, the Saturday show, I told you how worried they were over in
Atlanta.
Atlanta, and it plays out right there. I mean, they put up a really bad showing as far as their offensive numbers, and with all those weapons, like I said, Bijan and et cetera, and that's the best you can do with the quarterback play. It just doesn't match up. So they could be looking.
Oh my goodness! All right,
so
all right, so let's pivot to that a little bit. All right, now I still contend. I think you're watching the game and seeing how Kyler didn't seem to be sheepish about how he was approaching the game. Of course, you would love to see a touchdown pass and be able to see some of those things, but I still get the impression that even if Jonathan Gannon would say, "Hey, Monty Ossenfort, I want this guy on my team. Or Drew Pesting said, yeah, we can definitely do some things with him. That's nice, fellas. He won't be on the team this time next year. Because again, I think it's the money thing. It's one of those situations where you're the chef and they'll say, I'll give you the ingredients. You're not necessarily going to cook. I understand that you said you would like a seafood option. No, the seafood option is not coming, chef. Where this is what we're going to do. We're going all meat all day, right? I think that's still the impression that I get, but I think at least it'll make it a harder decision as opposed to just a fait accompli, meaning it's already been decided, maybe.
Well, for me, Jay, the problem with this situation is league, right? We've seen because the Rams didn't play anybody in the preseason, that's where everybody else shifted. We've seen lately when teams can figure out a way to draft a quarterback so they get that 5 years of rookie contract. That way they can build everything around it. That's like the new flamingo on the front yard. Everybody wants it. So the Cardinals are looking at it with it right in their face. And it's like, well, we got to do that too. And now their thing is, how do we figure out how to do it? And regardless of how well he played, they're and this is just all speculation on our part. We could be totally wrong. They could see what they see in Kyler and like, hey, we can build around this, and let's go ahead and take that 230 we gave him or whatever it was, and let's roll. But it just doesn't seem logical. They're always looking, and like I said, he's not their player. They didn't draft him as well. So they might want to put the stamp on it with going out and getting. Now, here's the problem, though. You play them a couple more weeks or so, and we eke out another 2 or 3 wins or whatever it is, you start sliding down that board because we've already given up the number 1 spot just in this one win alone to Carolina, which then gives it back to the Bears. But, I mean, you can't do this too long. Otherwise, you end up in limbo, right? If you're somewhere around pick 6 or 7, and you might as well just move. You might as well roll on with Kyler because you're not going to get a quarterback. If you're that far down the chain, you're going to have to do too much maneuvering to try to jump some of these other teams to get back to that spot. So
here's the thing, though. All right, so I hear when you're looking at the potential, maybe a bit somebody who's taller, maybe just as good of an arm, but that type of thing. In whether it's Drake May or whether it's Caleb Williams, but it's the devil better than the devil you don't, right?
Yeah.
So we know we know in-house, we know maybe the deficiencies, but also the capabilities of a Kyler Murray. And if we can try to play up to those and do the best we already know, as opposed to getting somebody else when the Patriots drafted Mac Jones, they probably thought he's not going to be a world beater, but we can definitely win with this guy, and they can't win with that guy. And that's in terms of what you do there, right? This the unknown that comes into it. It's a big risk, or I guess it would be a calculated risk, but it's still a risk nonetheless.
Well, the other thing, though, is we're already locked into Murray.
Right.
It's not like we have to eventually pay him. He's already been paid. So that relieves some of the pain right away, because it's not like, well, what we're going to do, we got to give him that check or we got to sign him to it. No, you've already done it. Now, you didn't do it. The previous regime did it. So they made the decision for you. Their issue is, do we try to get off of it, and how much pain it will be trying to get off of it. And then if it really works out poorly, where we get one of these young cats and they don't turn out to be as good as Kyler, then we have to face it on the other side, face the music on the other side. So that's their dilemma. I mean, it's not now. Say if Kingsbury and Kime hadn't paid Murray yet, right? Then their decision would be, well, do we give him the bag or not? And then that's a whole different arguing issue, because it changes your options up a little bit. Their options are, we've already paid him. Hey, maybe we just stick it out for a couple years and see where we go. Now where does that get you in terms of if you're not 100% committed to him as your guy, then it's like dating somebody that you kind of like, but you don't really, will you ever love her? I like her. and let's see how far we can get, and hey, we got a
Right.
wedding, coming up, a friend's wedding. Be nice not to have to worry about going to ask somebody to go to the wedding with me, somebody new, and I already know her. Let's just, go ahead and get it in. And
Oh man.
it's like, do I ask her to move in with me? Yeah, I don't. It's all these, but the decision's already been made because, like I said, he's already signed to the contracts. Just how they feel about him moving forward, the angst in terms of moving off of him or sticking with him. And once you commit, you got to commit though. You can't. You can't go halfway. If you commit to Murray, because you're not going to be in this situation again, hopefully.
Right.
Meaning, you're near the top of the draft right now, depending on how things go. If Murray's in here and your plan is, to move forward, you're not going to be near the top of this draft anytime soon. You could be in the middle of it, which is like purgatory, but so you got to make up your mind one way or the other. And I think the way you and I've been talking, I'm thinking we're going to get an idea over the next 2 to 3 weeks because I stick to because you're, like I said, at 2-8 now. You're not playoff bound. And your risk is probably a lot outweighs your reward at this point. Okay, so we win a few games, we look halfway decent, we pull some fans back in, but now we're at pick 10 through 15 or whatever it is, along with that other pick. Hey, we can start putting pieces around, or we pull Murray out after a couple games. We've seen all we need to see. Let the fan base know this is for his benefit because he's our guy. We're moving forward, and then we can let it crumble from there and try to stay as high a draft pick as possible. So we'll figure out how to. It's a game of cards, man. I mean, we're gonna find out how slick they are by how they play them. Do they show us their hand and roll from there, or do they keep them close and we'll still be guessing come draft time?
Interesting. So again, Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals here. So talking about a little bit of that Kyler Murray speculation based upon how he performs. And you mentioned auditioning. What about Atlanta could use a quarterback, and then there are other teams. I mean, but then it depends upon what draft capital that they would be willing to give up in order to get them. But I'm sure that if the Cardinals are willing to get off, if Monty Ossenfort decides I want to get off of this contract, because that's what it would come down to. Because we know Kyler is talented. We know he's talented. If you have a real offensive mind in there, as opposed to somebody that's trying to keep you in the college mindset with the offense that he runs, but with referring to Kingsbury, it comes down to what are you willing. Somebody might say, we'll give you a 3. Yeah, give us a 3 and a 4. Just take this contract. We don't care. We're just trying to reset. Give us a couple of draft picks down the road. But you look at Atlanta. Are there any other teams that come to mind? I look at the Patriots. They're gonna need a quarterback, but how much draft capital do they have? It just makes you start to think, and it opens up the possibilities based upon this very small sample size with Kyler coming back and playing at least looking like his old self in the sense of running and being commanding the offense to a certain extent.
Yeah, looking through it, man. I mean, you got a team like we already talked about the Falcons, maybe the Raiders. I mean, let me see.
And it might be too early, but yeah, there's and then and teams will always pop up. It's the teams that you think that we thought coming into the season. I heard this on Sirius XM, I want to say maybe yesterday, that a lot of teams that you thought were set or should be at least optimistic at quarterback. Now we look at it and say, nah, that's not quite the case. Maybe they're not as settled as they once were. So that might be a lot, maybe some moving of seats or moving of deck chairs around on the ship.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me, you went down the list and you look at teams, where are they at? And we did this practice a few weeks ago. What is their quarterback situation? Do they have already an established franchise guy? Do they have a guy who's auditioning for the franchise spot, meaning they either just drafted him or recently or this past year, whatever it is, or do they have a placeholder in that spot right now? You got a couple teams like even Buccaneers, they don't have a franchise guy. Obviously the Falcons, we just talked about them, the Bears, but they're going to be in a position, I think, where they can actually take from the draft because they're going to be high enough. And then a couple other teams, even Vikings, you think about what Josh Dobbs has done, in place of
Kirk
Cousins.
Cousins. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not, maybe they're tired of Cousins. Dobbs, as nice a story is, he's not a franchise guy. So
Right,
you're talking
right.
about a handful of teams that might look at Murray, especially after what he did yesterday, and you're thinking, okay, he's only going to not probably, he's going to get more comfortable and get better as time goes on in terms of his athletic. And but the problem with Murray is the story's been out there about his sometimes his attitude, his leadership.
Yeah.
And then you can't teach size. That's the other thing,
Yeah.
That's always going to be a hindrance.
I'll say this, though, as we get ready to wrap up, is that the thing that, if you're a GM, you're saying, I want to pick my own guy, right? But if you're the coach, you might not be around to see that quarterback that you pick end up growing into what they need to be, because they'll say, nah, we thought we'd have a better record. Well, what'd you give me? You gave me a rookie quarterback, and I need to teach him and do all this stuff. Yeah, but nah, we'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Thank you for your time. We appreciate what you've done for the organization. So there can be two different mindsets.
Mm-hmm.
Be able to create this culture, but if I'm not around to build this culture, then what do I care? Give me the guy that's already here, and I'll work with what I got.
Yeah. And you think about even with the Falcons, bro, the clock is ticking over there on Arthur Smith as well.
Yeah,
I mean, there's some clocks that are getting, fast forward. They're doing their own version of daylight savings time, bro. Seriously. And, and then what happens is the heat is on you as a coach, and it because, media is talking, the questions are getting a little more focused on this and that, and you start making decisions sometime according to how the temperature is rising in the room. So, if you're picking in, 10th or 11th or 12th spot, and you're not going to get a quarterback, what are you going to do? Hey, what's out there? Can we go get that? A coach who feels comfortable, he's like, well, we're here to build. Coach that doesn't feel comfortable is like, that's like going to Salvation Army because you need a jacket. You need it now, and you need it, for a particular price and this, that, and the other, So there's different mindsets out there. I personally think, like I said, over the next few weeks, the Cardinals are going to tell you where their mindset is. Now, if they just hit the road and if we see Murray week 14, 15, 16, and he's just playing, then that means obviously he's their dude. But and I would then say, hey, you might want to, depending on what the record is, you might want to eventually shut him down. But if he gets 6, 7, 8 games in, and they're comfortable with it, and we see them start to do different things, then, hey, all bets are off. I would say they're moving forward with Murray, and we'll see, then they start the plan of supplementing around him,
There you go. Because then if you do stick to that theory that you have about sitting him or putting him on the shelf, saying we know what we got. Let's say Monty Austin says, yeah, we're gonna stick with him. Let's put him on the shelf so that way we don't that way we can try to have the best draft position that we can. Maybe get another offensive lineman, or maybe get a speed receiver. Maybe Harrison Jr. from Ohio State, or something like that, to put those weapons on that offensive side of the ball to give us an opportunity to really blow the doors off come next season.
Yeah. Like I said, they're going to show us more than they're going to tell us. I'm not listening to their words over these next weeks. I want to see actions. I'm going to make my assumptions according to what they do, not what they say. Because what are they supposed to say other than, hey, Murray's doing a great job and he's our dude? But like I said, if they sit him down early, we'll see.
Yeah, indeed. All right, so he is Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams. We do this twice a week, Monday and Thursday. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. Make sure you tell a friend about what we have going on here. As always, we are presented by Bet Online, and as we like to say around this time, we'll see you on Thursday, but as we like to say around this time, you can